Hello and welcome to the Better You podcast, where we go in depth and get to listen to stories of hope, strength, and courage straight from some of the leading health, fitness, and wellness experts who help transform lives one person at a time. I'm RK, and today joining me is personal trainer, weight loss coach, sports nutritionist, creator of Gone for Good weight loss coaching, and the Live Diet Free podcast host, Esther Avant. Good morning, Esther. Nice having you with us today.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, so a good amount of your work that I've seen with EA coaching is helping moms to lose weight for good. But could you tell us a little more about your own journey and how it paved the way for you to help women out there?
That's really exactly what it did. I found the gym myself late in high school at a very kind of impressionable time where I was trying to decide on a college major and was like, you know what, I like working out. Let me see if I can get paid to do that. So I went to school for exercise science, and that was almost 20 years ago, and kind of began the ongoing evolution of my own journey and my career as well. So I kind of first had my first, stumble when I got to college, and I had been very dedicated to the gym and my nutrition when I was finishing high school because I was very well established in those routines. And then I got to college, I was this, little fish in a big pond. I felt way over my head in classes. I was trying to find my way socially, and one of the first things that went out the window were my healthy habits. I don't think I saw the gym like the entire first year. I put on 35 pounds, kind of doubled the freshman 15, and came back from college that freshman year really feeling disconnected from the person I had been a year ago. And that was just the first of many sort of ups and downs, and my realization that health and fitness and wellness needs to be a lifelong commitment, and that at different phases of our lives, that's going to look different. So once I graduated college, I was personal training, and I had a really good understanding of the exercise piece, but felt really unprepared on the nutrition front. I was struggling with my own binge and restrict cycle of being, quote unquote, perfect all week, and basically overeating and overdrinking all weekend, swearing I would never do it again, rinse and repeat. And at the same time, I was working with clients who were paying good money for personal training and were feeling so frustrated that they weren't seeing much in the way of results. And I was like, I know that the workouts they're doing are effective. And then started realizing what a small fraction of their lives those workouts were. And that I really needed to know more about nutrition, both for myself personally and to help my clients. So that sort of led me down the nutrition path. And at this time, I moved from Boston to San Diego. I'm in my mid-20s again, still kind of finding myself. And now I had this background in nutrition. I had a much better understanding of it, and I was still struggling. And that was when I kind of started piecing together that the science of, the what to do isn't everything. There is so much more to it in terms of actual behavior change. How do I take what I know from a textbook and apply it to my life? And not just to my own life, but the lives of other people who aren't just like duplicates of me. That everybody's lives are dynamic and in flux, and what might work for me right now isn't always going to work. And it's not necessarily going to work with my clients either. So realizing just kind of the depth of, I can't be a coach who just says, here's what I did, do that, because that is really only going to work if you're working with clones of yourself. And I really wanted to be able to serve with the busy working mom population. That's what resonated with me the most, even before I was a mom, thinking about my own mom and her struggles with her weight and thinking, what are the programs that she did? She did, like the Slim Fast shakes, and she was on Weight Watchers and doing, Denise Austin exercise tapes in our living room. And just kind of thinking, why didn't those things work for her? Why don't they work for most women? And what will? Because it's not hopeless, but we have to take a different approach than we have in the past. So my sort of, I don't want to say even the final piece of my evolution, Because if you're not growing, you're dead. But when I did finally become a mother, that was just kind of another shift in how I saw things, coming from a personal training background. And all of my friends were trainers. We basically just lived in the gym between sessions. And I had all of these beliefs about exercise and about nutrition and having a healthy lifestyle that were just like this microcosm of the real world that most adults do not have the luxury of being in a gym for 12 hours a day.
Exactly.
Most, busy moms are trying to eke out 20, 30 minutes where they can. They're trying to figure out, what can I make for dinner that my kids aren't going to lose their minds about, and that also, get some nutrients in me. That sort of balancing act became, my reality when I had a kid 4.5 now, and I really had to make my own shifts from working out an hour plus a day to, well, if this kid will nap for 20 minutes, that's what I'll take. And ultimately, it's been really cool. I just turned 37, and I have been at this point consistently exercising for the better part of 20 years. And when I look back at all the different kind of phases of that, I just think it's so cool to see how far I've come. Physically, I'm in the best shape of my life, but also mentally, I am in the best mental space of my life, knowing that no matter what changes in my life, my healthy identity is going to remain. And that over the last 20 years, I've built all of the tools and the skills and the mentality that I need to handle whatever comes up. If it, right now we're in the process of moving from Germany to San Diego, and our lives are going to be in flux for the better part of a year. And instead of being really bent out of shape about I'm not going to have my gym, I'm not going to have, my kitchen or my things, I just know I can handle it. I can figure it out. And that sort of confidence is what makes me so passionate about coaching, to see that development in other women who go from feeling like I'm just never going to be a fit person, I'm never going to like exercising, I don't know how to cook, all of that kind of self-limiting talk, to then sort of blossoming into this woman who's like, yeah, I got this, I can do it, and I know that whatever life throws at me in the future, I can handle as well.
To me, everything that you told us, to everything that you've shared with the audiences, how can I say, for the lack of a term, everything is very relatable, everything that you shared in your journey. And I just wanted to ask you, of course, as a coach, there are a lot of relatable instances or experiences that you've had in your own life. Is there a specific experience that you see that unknowingly you always kind of share with everyone, and it's one story that kind of resonates with everybody? Could you tell us more about that?
That's a good question. So the one that comes to mind first is a moment that I had newly postpartum. I think maybe about 3 months. I had been cleared. I went to my pelvic floor physical therapist and was out in my garage getting one of my first workouts in. And everything was so hard, and I felt so weak, and I was so defeated. And I had an active pregnancy. The day, my due date, I did a hike with my husband, and I had been really proud of the work that I had done throughout my pregnancy, and sort of had this belief that because I had done that, it would be an easy recovery for me. I would just kind of bounce right back. And so I'm out in the garage, and I just was shocked at how weak I was and how hard everything felt. And, not to mention that I'm, very hormonal, and I'm not sleeping well, and all of those things combined. And I just broke down. And I don't know if my husband heard me or if he just came out to check on me or what, but he came out, and I, kind of had the meltdown of everything is so hard and this is so unfair. And he told me something that has stuck with me for, 5 years now. And I've told so many clients. He said, everything that you do now is a post-baby PR. And it's especially relatable for moms, but it applies to so many other scenarios. We all have that very raw kind of what feels like a rock bottom moment. Maybe it's post-surgery where you're starting rehab and you're just like, how is it so hard for me to lift my arm over my head? Just something where you can't help but compare. Not too long ago, I could do this, and now I can't. And it feels like it's going to be this insurmountable struggle to get back there, if I ever do. So I think there's such comfort in, this is just a new chapter. And that means that you have a clean slate and everything going forward is a record and you can take pride in that. And it was such a prime example of a thought shift and how impactful that can be. So instead of saying, well, 4 months ago, I was able to do this. Wow, how cool is that? I'm filling out the PR logs every time I show up. I'm hitting a record. And that just really shifted everything for me. So that's something that I think any mom and really anybody who's faced any sort of kind of comeback story can relate to.
That is absolutely beautiful. Now, speaking of your husband, I'm sure as a coach, you have been such an inspiration for all of your clients and everyone you get to work with. Is there a specific group of people, let's say, or a mentor that you've worked with that has truly inspired you and has helped you develop into the coach that you are today?
I worked with a business and mindset coach or business and life coach several years ago. I don't remember when, but several years ago. And that was one of a couple of turning points in my online coaching career. I did a different sort of mentorship when my son was about 6 weeks old, which is something I'm very proud of, that I didn't let this very fresh baby hold me back from also growing in my career. I would be up nursing in the middle of the night and I'd put an earbud in and I would listen to a module and I would just kind of it would be in my brain in those fits of sleep in and out. And that was when I really started putting together the Gone for Good program instead of just sort of this, we have a call and we talk about what comes up. It got a lot more structured of what is the actual process that I want to take clients through. And then once I established that, I was still kind of struggling. I was like, I know I have a great service here. I know that what I do has the potential to really change people's lives, but I didn't really know how to get the word out. I didn't know much in terms of marketing or how much the mental piece really mattered. I fell into a very textbook mindset of, I'm doing the things and nothing's working, which is very relatable in weight loss and exercise and fitness as well, is we just feel like, I'm checking the boxes. How come I don't have the results? So working with a business coach with a life coaching background really helped me see both kind of the strategy that I was missing and where my own mentality was holding me back. And that's something that has not only elevated EA coaching, but has, as a business, but has also influenced how we coach our own clients. Because I think that's a big piece of what's missing in a lot of programs is they can be very sort of just tell me what to do. Here's a meal plan, here's an exercise program. And of course that stuff is important, but then there's this big underlying issue of once you know what to do, are you doing it? And if not, why not? And that can get into a lot of the deeper stuff of the self-worth and what are the stories that I picked up on in my childhood. And that's when you really start peeling back the layers and you're like, oh, there's more to it than just calories.
Exactly. That is so true. And a lot of people tend to not really look into that deeper portion of health, wellness, and fitness. And that's pretty much why a lot of us are here. It's to help them and guide them along the way. Now, with EA coaching, has there ever been a moment in time that you reached where you were telling yourself, oh my gosh, this is probably the proudest moment I've had so far? Is there any sort of story so far?
That's a great question. I feel so once a month on my podcast, I do a client spotlight episode where I interview, very similar to this, a client about her successes. And one of the proudest things for me is hearing in their words, not just the numerical progress that they're proud of, but the fact that one of the most recurring themes among our successful clients is that they develop this unwavering belief in themselves and their ability to be successful, and that it spills over into other areas of their lives. So, I'll talk to someone and she'll say, this is, I'm down this number of sizes or this many pounds or whatever. It almost becomes an afterthought at that point that they're like, oh yeah, and the number stuff, that's cool too. But they'll be telling me, my marriage is so much better, or I am going back to school. I started a business, I got a promotion, just such cool things that the efforts you make to prioritize yourself and your health spill over into every other area of your life. And to see that happening and to now have kind of the volume of success stories to know that it's not a fluke It's not just like this one-off of like, she was going to do it anyway, but that over and over and over again, our framework actually works, and this method actually helps women, and not just in the short term, like, all right, we had you long enough to take your pictures and now, good luck, but more so that they're really changing how they see themselves and how they see the world. And what inspires me the most is thinking about the ripple effect that has. That I think so many women end up playing small because they're insecure, or they just don't have the confidence to, speak up, and for whatever that is. And to think about, if we're helping empower and strengthen the voices of one woman at a time, and then each of those women is empowered to speak up about the thing that she's passionate about. Like, think about the effect that can have on, everything, your community, your city, your state, the world, if we have more women who feel capable of doing those things. So I think that's, really the proudest thing for me.
That is absolutely beautiful. Like, I have been, I have talked with a lot of coaches, and this is actually one of the things that I find really wonderful in our business, is that when you do get to help other people, it's such an amazing feeling that a lot of the proudest moments that we have is really more so helping them achieve what they really wanted to get, like the goals that they wanted to set for themselves, the results that they wanted to attain. So that to me, that's just, it always gives me the goosebumps whenever other coaches tell me of their proudest moments. Now, as a final word of advice, like to newbie moms out there, or not just newbie moms, but generally everyone who wants to start their own fitness journey, what best piece of advice could you give everyone out there who's watching and listening to us?
Just start. I know that it can feel like a lot. I know that you don't necessarily know all the steps that it takes to get from A to B, and how easy it is to get sort of paralyzed into inaction, of feeling like I need to have the entire plan set in stone before I do anything. And that's a recipe for doing nothing for forever. And you don't need to know all of the steps. You don't even need to know what the right one is, because there isn't a single right one. The best step is the one that takes you a little bit closer to where you want to be. And the most important thing is that you just get some wins under your belt, and you get some momentum going, and you start proving to yourself that you are someone who does what she says she's going to do, and that your actions make a difference. So what I always recommend is doing a brain dump. Get a blank piece of paper and just list out all of the habits that you either would like to create or would like to break, and just pick one. Don't get overwhelmed that you're like, well, there's 67 things on this, so how am I possibly going to do that? Just pick one. You can either go with low-hanging fruit. That's like, I'm going to start drinking a glass of water in the morning. Great. Or you can go with like the big kahuna, which is like, I know if I took care of this big thing, that it would have this like cascade effect, and a lot of other stuff would just get taken care of in its aftermath. But just pick one place to start. Give yourself the gift of the time that it takes to create a new habit. So at least 2, 3, 4 weeks to focus on just that. I know it feels like it's going to be glacially slow, but ultimately the starts and stops that everybody has from trying to do too much and being unable to maintain it is what keeps people stuck. You are so much better off taking one step forward at a time, and very seldom moving backwards, than to try to do too much at once, fall short, feel like a failure, and around you go. So pick one thing, focus on it until it starts to feel more natural and just like what you do, and then add the next thing on, take it stepwise. And I guarantee if you do that, and if you give yourself 3 months, 6 months, a year, you will not believe how far you've come and how not overwhelming it's been in the process.
That is absolutely true. And to everyone listening out there, if you guys are interested in getting in touch with Esther and going to see her EA coaching, please go ahead and look at the description box, because I put all of her wonderful links and all the information to get to her right there. So you guys just need to go ahead and read down there. All right. So, guys, our job here is done for today. Thank you for joining me in today's episode, Esther. And as always, I am Coach RK. Thank you for joining us today at the Better You podcast. And as a reminder, never give up on your movement journey because it's never too late to move. Bye, guys.